Always thought the wedding night was supposed to be simple, two people lying beside each other and falling asleep. But life proved me wrong long before I understood anything about marriage. I was only 18 when my stepmother insisted I marry. Too young, too confused, too unprepared. She said it was for the good of the family, that I had no other option. I didn't understand how my life could change with one decision I never wanted to make. On the wedding day, I felt like I was walking away from myself. That night, I sat alone in a room that didn't belong to me. My hands were shaking, my thoughts tangled. When he finally entered, I froze. He didn't look angry or impatient, just unsure. I didn't know what he expected, and fear tightened around my chest. When he stepped closer, my panic took over. I pushed him away without thinking. The sound of my hand striking him echoed through the silent room. For a moment, he just stood there, hurt, shocked, but silent. Then he walked out without a word. The door closed, and all I felt was fear and guilt. The next mornings were awkward. We lived in the same house like two strangers passing through each other's shadows. He slept on the sofa. I locked myself in the bedroom. At the dining table, we barely exchanged glances. I expected anger, blame, anything, but he stayed distant and quiet, like he didn't want to break whatever fragile space existed between us. Days turned into weeks. One morning, the smell of food pulled me out of my room. He was in the kitchen making breakfast. He didn't look at me when he said, "You didn't eat last night." It stunned me. No one had cared that way before. I sat quietly, watching the careful way he moved, as if making sure nothing scared me again. Another night, fever shook my body. I was too weak to call for help. The door opened slowly, and he stepped in with medicine. His voice was soft when he said, "You're burning up." He waited beside me until I fell asleep, and when I woke up, he was gone, but the water and medicine were still there. That's when something inside me began to change. One evening, I found him sitting outside, staring at the sky like he was lost inside his own thoughts. Gathering courage, I whispered, "I'm sorry." He turned, surprised. "For what?" he asked. "For that night, for pushing you away, for being afraid." He looked at me for a long time before his eyes softened. "I was scared too," he said quietly. "I never wanted to hurt you. I just didn't know how to make you feel safe." His voice cracked, and in his eyes, I saw pain he had been hiding all along. That moment broke something inside me, not in a bad way, but in a way that made room for understanding. After that, the silence between us became gentler. We talked a little more. He asked if I needed anything. I left him tea when he worked late. Slowly, our home began to feel less like a stranger's house and more like a place where two people were learning how to exist together. One night, I found him asleep on the sofa. For the first time, I wasn't afraid to be near him. Something in me softened. I realized I didn't want him to feel alone the way I once felt. Then came the night everything changed. It was raining hard, the kind of rain that echoes through empty hallways. I couldn't sleep, my heart restless, my thoughts loud. Without thinking, I walked to the living room. He looked up, surprised. "Can't sleep?" he asked gently. I shook my head. My steps carried me toward him like I had been waiting for this moment without knowing it. I sat beside him, close enough to hear his heartbeat, close enough to feel safe. He didn't move until I did. When I leaned against him, he hesitated, then wrapped his arms around me, carefully, like I was something fragile he didn't want to break. For the first time, I felt warmth instead of fear. I looked up at him, and he searched my eyes, asking for permission without saying a single word. I gave it with a quiet breath. That night wasn't about fear or obligation. It was about trust, about two hearts finally meeting halfway. The rain kept falling outside, but inside, something gentle finally began. From that night on, everything changed. We shared meals, we laughed, we talked, we started living in one room instead of two. He still showed kindness in small ways, and slowly, I found myself returning it. Our home filled with warmth, not silence. Looking back now, I realize love didn't arrive suddenly. It came in soft moments, in patience, in respect, in the slow healing of old fears. It came the night two strangers finally chose to stop being strangers. And even now, whenever it rains, I smile. Because the rain reminds me of the night I found love in the man I once feared.